certainly is lacking in commercial radio, that sense of belonging that we're all in this together.
We are all in this together, aren't we? That's the nice feeling about this. But thank you so much for coming in early this morning. It's been a real treat meeting you, and I hope we continue to live up to your expectations.
I'm sure you will.
And you get an official 40-year mug to take with you this morning to enjoy your morning tea or coffee.
Thank you very much.
We're speaking with Ruth Cook. She lobbied to bring CBC Radio to Thunder Bay some 40 years ago. Still an avid listener today, which we are so proud of. We're now at about 19 minutes past 6 o'clock. Company this morning. Isn't that wonderful hearing all that lively music there in the background? We're going to get spoiled here today. We've got coffee on, it's ready. We've got scones, we've got live music here, we've got tons of people floating around. We've got prizes to give away throughout the morning as well. And right now we're going to talk with somebody who, I was just talking with Ruth Cook about the struggle to get CBC Thunder Bay on the air here and what it took. And when CBC hit the airways, people would have quickly come to recognize the voices of our announcers on the air. Don Edwards is here this morning, the very first voice you heard. And of course, Margie Taylor, the very first woman announcer in Thunder Bay, started here. And of course, has gone on to great things as well. But there were a number of people behind the scenes shaping what you heard over the airways. One of those people was Doug Ward, the first station manager at what was then called CBQ. Hey, Doug Ward, good morning.
CBQ 800.
CBQ 800, yes, and you had the license plate. We had the license plate on the wall. You had it on your car for all those years as well.
You know, Lisa, I still have that license. I had it renewed, so my car has CBQ 800. And a few times I've had people honk and pull over and say, "I worked at CBQ 800."
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, that's great.
So when you got the call, when you got the challenge of saying, "Okay, can you go to Thunder Bay and put this radio station on the air?" What did you think?
Oh, I was so excited. I lobbied like crazy to get this job. The thought of starting a station. There hadn't been a CBC radio station open for probably 20 years before this. And there wasn't another one open for decades later. I mean, Victoria, a capital of a province, didn't even have a CBC radio station. So it was the work of people like the lady you just interviewed.
Like Ruth Cook, yes.
And others they were the ones who pushed it, and Paul McRae. And it was just lucky that there was this great local force pushing it, and the CJLX license came up for somebody to grab.
Where were you at the time? Where were you?
You can hear good out there.
Because you were in the CBC family.
Yeah, I was in Toronto. I had been on a team that had started a show called As It Happens. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Harry Brown?
Yeah.
My uncle.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that something? It's a small world.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And then I'd gone on to write a report with Peter Meggs about the future of CBC Radio. So I had a real feeling that one of the things that was missing was that more places had to have local journalism and expressing a local sensibility in order for the network to be strong. So when CBC got this license, I just jumped and pushed for it and got the job.
You know, and there's so much that goes into putting a radio station on the air, and I'm thinking like even things like location. I mean, this station was in an old convent.
And that was fine. That was fine. I mean, I didn't even think of the bricks and mortar. For me, I got the job the 1st of October. I had to be on air by December. And I thought, how the hell do I do that? So I just moved up here, left my family in Toronto, took a room at the, no, I lived with Jim and Marlene Hyder, and they just helped me understand the whole of Northwestern Ontario. They're wonderful people. And then I put a sign in the paper and said hiring, and I got a room at the Holiday Inn, and people came through, and so I had about a month of hiring and then a month of designing the programming, and then on air.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that must have been so intense.
Oh, it was, and fabulous. You know, long days, long nights, but just the best possible work.
So back then, going on the air and offering something completely different here in Thunder Bay, what do you think the impact of having CBC here
Well,
meant?
this is more of a working class town than say London, Ontario, or even Toronto. I never used the word CBC in the advertising up here. We called it CBQ 800. We never said CBC. There were no big logos around or anything. It was just going to be a news station. What I wanted was a station where the local programming was an information service that helped empower the citizens, whether they were university professors or working in Cancar or in one of the paper mills or wherever. And so it was different in that way. We only put the CBC sort of brand on it years later when finally corporate HPR found out.
CBC must have discovered that.
That's right, but I felt it was important for starting up here. It was a new radio station, information driven, and it's about your issues, and much more inclusive. Women, Aboriginal people, the regional communities from Manitou Watch right up to the border of Manitoba.
You could be talking about our mandate today, but you've just described it. It hasn't changed, has it?
No, just the faces.
Just the faces.